are negative thoughts, but you don't listen anyway.
We used to cheer for Superman. Now we see ourselves in the Joker. That shift says more about us than it does about them. Villains aren't just villains anymore. They're mirrors, cracked, messy, bleeding at the edges. And for Gen Z, those cracks feel familiar. We're not drawn to their evil, we're drawn to their pain. Their brokenness looks a lot like ours. Villains used to be just evil. Now, they're real people. They've got issues, trauma, and a lot of emotional baggage. And guess what? That's why Gen Z connects with them. They're not just out to destroy the world. They're hurting, and we get it. Villains like Joker and Eren Yeager are broken in ways that are way more relatable than the shiny, perfect heroes we used to love. Heroes like Superman or Captain America, perfect, strong, never wrong, don't feel real anymore. They're distant, like characters from another world. But villains? They're raw, emotional, and flawed. They're us. That's why we love them. But what's behind this shift? Why does Gen Z get villains so much more than traditional heroes? Gen Z isn't lazy. We're tired. Bone deep tired, raised on promises of a better world, only to inherit the cracks beneath it. Burnout isn't just a phase, it's our baseline. And in that exhaustion, perfection feels fake. Shiny heroes with easy answers, they don't reflect us. We don't want perfect anymore. We want honest. We want flawed. We want characters who bleed. Here's the thing. The heroes we grew up with, Superman, Captain America, embody idealism. They stand for everything that's right and pure. But in today's world, where we're questioning everything, those heroes just seem fake. They feel like fairy tales, unreachable and too perfect. Enter the villains. They're broken, struggling, and messy, just like us. They don't have all the answers, and they're not trying to save the world with their shiny armor. Instead, they're trying to survive in a world that constantly knocks them down. Villains are real, and that's what Gen Z craves. We want characters who deal with life's struggles, not just win battles with a smile. Now that we know why we're drawn to complex, emotional characters, let's look at Eren Yeager, a hero who became a villain. What happened to him? Eren Yeager was supposed to save the world, but the more he fought for freedom, the more the world crushed him. What began as hope rotted into rage. His dream curdled into something unrecognizable, and we didn't turn away. We leaned closer, because Eren's story isn't just about a boy becoming a monster. It's about what happens when idealism breaks under the weight of reality. And that fracture, that's something Gen Z understands down to the bone. Eren's transformation is a perfect example of how Gen Z feels. At first, he's a kid trying to fight back against an unfair world. But as the world beats him down, he loses hope. He doesn't want to save the world anymore. He wants to break it. And in that journey, he rejects the idealism of heroism. He becomes his own kind of force. Gen Z connects with Eren because we're all feeling the weight of society's expectations. It's like we're constantly told to be perfect, to follow the rules, to be heroes. But what happens when the world feels impossible? Like Eren, we start questioning everything. We start looking for radical ways to be free. Eren's journey is intense, but it's not the only villain that hits us where it hurts. The Joker? He's got his own kind of pain that Gen Z definitely feels. Let's take a look. The Joker is chaos on the surface, but a look beneath the paint and you don't see a criminal mastermind. You see a man who just wants someone, anyone, to notice he exists. That's his secret. The Joker isn't addicted to anarchy. He's addicted to validation. The mirrors in his apartment, the way the camera lingers on his face. It's not about crime, it's about loneliness. And in a generation drowning in noise but starving to be seen, that hits like a punchline that isn't funny. The Joker is the ultimate symbol of loneliness. His world has ignored him, mocked him, and rejected him at every turn. His descent into madness isn't because he was born evil, it's because society failed him. And let's be real, how many of us can't relate to that feeling of being overlooked, invisible, or abandoned? The Joker's actions might be extreme, but his feelings of neglect, Gen Z gets that. We see a man who, despite all the pain and chaos he causes, is still looking for one thing: validation. He doesn't want anarchy, he wants attention. He wants to be noticed. The Joker's pain is what makes him human, and that's what draws us in. We may not agree with what he does, but we feel for his loneliness, his desperation, and his need for someone to acknowledge him. For Gen Z, who often feels lost in the noise, the Joker's struggle to be seen is deeply relatable. In a world where everyone's talking but no one's really listening, the Joker becomes a reflection of a generation that feels ignored. He's chaotic, sure, but he's also vulnerable. And that vulnerability is why Gen Z connects with him more than we care to admit. So, we've seen how villains like Eren and Joker tap into emotions we can relate to. But what about the classic heroes? The ones who used to be our role models? Why do they no longer resonate? Superman, Captain America, icons carved in marble, unshakable, untouchable, always right. But marble doesn't bleed, and that's the problem. In 2025, idealism doesn't inspire us. It feels like a lie we can't afford to believe. The world is cracked, and we're cracked with it. We don't want saviors and capes. We want survivors with scars. It's not that we don't love these characters anymore. It's just that they feel out of touch with what's happening in the real world. Gen Z is facing a world that's morally gray. We're dealing with climate change, political chaos, economic instability, and social inequality. Things are complicated. The black and white morality that heroes like Superman represent seems like an oversimplification of the mess we're living in. We're not looking for heroes who have all the answers anymore. We want characters who struggle, who question the world around them, who don't have it all figured out. Heroes like Captain America are symbols of virtue and idealism, but idealism feels impossible when the world around us seems to be falling apart. Gen Z is tired of the "everything's going to be okay" narrative. We want to see characters who are just as confused as we are, who don't have a perfect moral compass, who make mistakes and learn from them. That's what makes modern villains more relatable. They're not pretending to have it all figured out. They're raw, emotional, and trying to survive in a world that doesn't make sense. The traditional heroes we used to idolize just can't keep up with the complexity of the world today. They're too perfect. Too unreal. What we want now is someone who can reflect the struggles we're going through. Someone who's as lost, as broken, and as human as we are. Villains aren't role models. They're mirrors. And when we cheer for them, maybe it's not because they're right, but because they're broken in the same ways we are. They don't promise happy endings. They don't promise easy answers. They offer something scarier and more honest, a reflection of us, stripped of the mask of perfection. We see ourselves in their flaws, their battles, and their quest for meaning in a chaotic world. What's your take? Do villains speak to you more than heroes these days? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe. We've got plenty more character breakdowns coming your way.